All the candidates held themselves up pretty well. I think a lot of the nerves that they were having kind of got in the way of staying focused on the questions that were being asked, but all in all, their responses were very intellectual and knowledgeable on the problems at hand.
I think some of the biggest issues that were brought up in tonight's debate were obviously the diversity and the inclusive excellence that's been brought up the last couple of years. Obviously the obvious housing and school spirit were brought up. I think the candidates handled them relatively well, as best they could. You know, I've heard that the turnout and the overall mood was kind of down and, you know, a little more tranquil, and I think that has a lot to do with the issues that were brought up. You know, the last couple of years you've had, you know, the muck expansion, you've had Chick-fil-A, you've had the smoking ban, you've had the coyote statue, and you've had a lot of things being thrown there, and this last year really hasn't been anything of that substance yet. And I'm not saying it wasn't in the future, but at the point in this debate, I think that's kind of why the tone was the way it was, and I think they handled themselves well with the material that was covered. But obviously diversity and inclusive excellence were the top two.
I think the hottest topics of discussion was obviously that last question about strollers was it's a question that's really going to hit home for a lot of the Greek community here at USD. I thought both candidates handled that question extremely well. Other questions that raised up a lot of debate were things about diversity, and once again, both candidates handled it very well. I thought Tyler and Dustin had a little more of a unique perspective on the issues, just because of not only their ages but their experiences with diversity in the community as well.
This debate compared to previous years, I guess, really vanilla compared to the past 2 years. A lot of less people here. I think both candidates are calmer compared to last year, just because in the past years you just had two candidates that were a little more known on campus, and I guess a good word for it is it was very mellow compared to the past 2 years.
As a junior, the last 2 years were very fiery debates. Sort of dismal this year with the numbers being down. It's kind of sad to see, you know, when both parties are saying in their platform that they want to give SGA back to the students. I think that, you know, getting involved in the debates would be a great part of that. A lot of empty seats out there. But like, all four candidates are very chill, very mellow people. So, you know, they spoke their minds in a very clear and present tone, and you know, it just made for a good flowing debate. You know, with the diversity bill, or the diversity seating for the Senate through the SGA was the main point, and a little bit of strollers in there too. But overall, I think it went very well.
I think they both reacted very well. I was actually very impressed with how they both reacted, because some of the questions I felt were like complete curveballs. So I was very impressed with how they reacted. As far as the most controversial, or the most one that like maybe like was the hardest to react to, I think the strollers question was pretty interesting. I wasn't expecting it to be thrown out there, so that was the biggest curveball I thought was thrown. I thought they both answered very well, and they both answered all of their questions very honestly. Even if, you know, maybe it's something we don't want to hear, that's a goal of theirs, they'll tell us. Like, so that's one thing that I'm very impressed with from our teams.